Hey folks, welcome to the video for today. We are going to be talking about the structure and function of the judicial branch. So this is our final branch of government that we are going to take a look at. And this corresponds with notes 3.6. So make sure that you have the correct note sheet in front of you. Now, our learning objective for this branch is to explain the structure of the judicial branch, including the significance of judicial review as a check on the other branches of government, right? This whole unit has been about separation of powers, checks and balances. What does each branch do? How do they check the other branches of government? So, as an overview of the judicial branch, this is set up in Article 3 of the Constitution. So Article 1 sets up Congress, Article 2 sets up the executive branch, and Article 3 sets up the Supreme Court, or the judicial branch. Justices at the federal level, the national level, serve for life, but they can be impeached by Congress or removed from office. So this is one way that Congress can check the Supreme Court, right? If a justice violates the Constitution or breaks a law, they can be removed from office. Now, as a review, we've kind of talked about this already, but how does a person get to be on the Supreme Court? They first have to be nominated by the president, but then Congress can check that nomination by either confirming or denying that appointment. So there is really all three branches involved here when it comes to getting onto the Supreme Court. Now, the basic purpose of the judicial branch is to interpret the laws, interpreting the Constitution to make sure that things are constitutional. And we really see this power come into play after the court case Marbury versus Madison. Marbury versus Madison empowered the courts to review major cases and laws and determine constitutionality, right? Does this law or action of a member of the government violate the Constitution and the principles of government that we've been studying? This power is called judicial review, and this is how the Supreme Court checks the actions of the president or the executive and the laws made by Congress or the legislative branch. So this is a really, really important check on the other powers of the other branches of government. Now, it's important to know who participates in this judicial system. This is largely just for context, folks, but in the judicial system, we have litigants, people involved in the case. So these are your plaintiffs, the party bringing the charge, like the accuser, the defendant, the party being charged or the accused, and a jury often. And these are the people that decide the outcome of the trial, right? So you could be selected for jury duty. Now, interest groups, and I know we haven't talked about those groups yet, but these are groups that advocate for specific issues in government, like the National Rifle Association, the NRA, would try to advance gun rights policies. They will use the courts to change policies. And the way that they do this is through something called amicus briefs. And what these are friends of the court. They're statements that will be filed by an interest group to try and influence a Supreme Court decision, right? They're going to try and say, like, here's data to back up why you, as the court, should rule a certain way. And of course, we have attorneys in the judicial system as well. They're going to advocate for the law and the interest of the accused, right? As an accused person, you do have rights, right? We talked about amendments 4 through 8, right? You can't have cruel and unusual punishment. You must have equal treatment. You have the right to an attorney, for instance, right? And the attorneys are making sure that the law is working as it should. They're responsible for ensuring that people are actually innocent until proven guilty. And remember, we've talked about this, you do have the right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean all attorneys are great if one is appointed for you, right? There may be some inequality in the type of representation you get. You still have that right to legal representation. And of course, we've talked about this, but that is guaranteed under the Sixth Amendment. Now, the structure of the federal court system has three parts. At the lowest end, we have the district courts, and there are 94 district courts. So Hamilton County is Hamilton County Courthouse, which is right here in this picture, is a part of a district court system. Okay? They have what we call original jurisdiction, meaning they're allowed to hear the case for the first time and determine the facts of the case. This is your trial court that you typically see taking place on TV shows. They're going to be responsible for hearing federal crimes and civil suits. So civil meaning kind of like Judge Judy, so like small claims court. They'll hear those as well. So when we're looking at a map of Ohio, you can see that Ohio has two district courts. One is the southern and one is the northern. Hamilton County, down in here, is a part of the western division of the southern district. So if cases from Hamilton County need to be reviewed, or it is a federal crime, it would go to the Southern District. Above the district courts, we have the appellate courts. And appellate courts are divided into circuits. So you can see that Ohio here, as well as Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, they're in the 6th Circuit. And the appellate courts have what we call appellate jurisdiction. They are really just there to review the decisions that were previously made by the district courts. They're not hearing the case at all for the first time. They're simply reviewing the decision and deciding if that decision should stand or that potentially they should change the outcome. They hold no trials. There is no testimony. Really, they're just reviewing evidence, reviewing information that is given to them by the district courts to make sure that the district courts ruled properly. And then finally, at the very, very top of our structure, we have the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is composed of 9 justices. There is 1 Chief Justice, kind of the head judge, and 8 associate judges. So when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away earlier this year, Amy Coney Barrett was nominated onto the court. She became an associate justice. Now, these justices are indirectly elected. And what I mean by that is, remember, we don't vote for judges. The president nominates who they believe should be on the court, and Senate approves it. When we say they are indirectly elected, right, we elect the president, and then he or she decides who is on the Supreme Court. So that is indirectly elected. Now, the Supreme Court has mostly appellate jurisdiction. We just talked about that. Basically, they're just reviewing decisions of the lower courts. However, they can hear cases for the first time and have that original jurisdiction. But for the most part, they are only reviewing decisions and actions made by the appellate and district courts. Now, the Supreme Court decides what cases it will hear. And what will happen first is the Supreme Court will receive what we call writs. And these are orders filed by the Supreme Court to review a decision of a lower court. Now, if 4 of the 9 justices agree to grant a writ, then that means they can hear the case. That is called the rule of 4. Very, very, very few cases are actually heard by the Supreme Court. Like I'm talking less than 1%. Like last year, the Supreme Court heard 80 cases. There were 8,000 submitted to the Supreme Court to be heard. They heard 80. Okay, so it's very, very minimal, the number of cases that they hear. They really only deal with cases that are major issues of the day. So for today, right, in our political climate, abortion, immigration, healthcare. And I would also argue right now in an election year, they're dealing with election protocol as well in terms of ballots and voting. So they're hearing those cases today. Now, when the Supreme Court is making decisions, they may hear oral arguments from prosecutors and defenders. The justices, though, will discuss the case in private. And when I say private, I mean private. There are no phones allowed in the courtroom and no cameras at all. So the only images that we have of the Supreme Court are drawings, like the one that you see here on the left. It is a very, very private thing that happens when the Supreme Court is deciding. Now, the Supreme Court, all 9 will vote. And what will happen is there will be a majority opinion that is written, and that is a statement of legal reasoning and justification behind the decision. So whatever side wins, right? I mean, it could be anywhere from a 5-4 decision or a 9-0 decision, right? But whatever side wins, they will write a statement saying why they decided the way they did, and here is the legal backing from the Constitution that supports it. Okay. The other side are known as the dissenters, and they will write a dissenting opinion. And they will write that opinion explaining why they oppose the majority and why they believe they have legal reasoning to deny or go against that majority. All right, that is it for the Supreme Court, guys. We are going to take a look at a couple of the major Supreme Court cases that have shaped our country. But for this video, remember, we were taking a look at what the judicial branch does, the structure of the judicial branch, and how the judicial branch checks the other branches of government through judicial review. So go back and fill in any blanks if you need to. I will be walking around if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. See ya.